less rap about it.
Yeah, and also for context, I know Joe, you are a pretty hardcore Metroid fan. It's your favorite franchise
This
of
isn't
all
even
time.
all my stuff.
I am a very casual Metroid fan, as in I've played a few of the games back in the day. Of course,
Kind of passing knowledge from things like Super Trash Bros and stuff like that. Yeah,
here we go.
But
yeah, passing out from Smash Bros, things like that. But like, I think the last one that I like really played, like honestly, was like Metroid Prime Hunters, which is like dang near what 3DS or a DS game?
No, that was DS.
DS. That was the last game that I played probably all the way through. Everything else is more passive here and there. Nothing against the franchise, but
it's just not like your go-to.
Yeah. But I'm also like interested in like this game here. I do want to check it out. Like, so that's just for context on like we got a hardcore and I got more of a casual. So
see, I don't think they understand hardcore. When we say hardcore, here's the context for you. Metroid is my all-time favorite franchise of all time ever. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Take a wild guess of what I made my create-a character out to be. Yeah. So believe me, I have a long history with the Metroid series. Metroid Dread, fantastic. It became the top-selling Metroid game in the series so far for a reason. Now on to this. I will be the first one to tell you. And I'm going to make Metroid fans very mad when I say this.
Okay.
I am probably the one Metroid fan that was not asking for a Prime 4. I felt like Primes 1 through 3 and all that, I feel like it was a good beginning, middle, and end, had a definitive conclusion. So one thing I'm wondering about is, story-wise, does this game like justify its existence? I know it's following up on things with like a certain villain that we saw in the last trailer. But Prime 3 was a pretty solid conclusion. Like it resolved the whole issue with Metroid Prime, who became Dark Samus, who was tied into the Phazon, which was causing this huge crisis. That plot line was like wrapped up pretty definitively. There's no follow-up on that. So will this game feel like it was actually meant to be here, or was this just like an afterthought? But as far as what I'm seeing here, even if it was an afterthought, still looks pretty cool. And I'm just going to be happy to play Metroid again regardless, so I should probably shut up. But I'll say this, in terms of gameplay, yes, they revealed like the psychic abilities mechanic, which...
That looked cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
it definitely spices things up, because I saw a lot of interesting things going on, like the whole thing where you could change the trajectory of your beam.
I like that. I like that.
That was
like,
cool.
That was like almost, what's that movie, Wanted? Remember when Wanted with curving bullets? It's almost low-key like, reminds me of that.
It reminds me a lot of like if you play the Batman Arkham series and you have like your remote control battering.
Oh yeah.
And you can like direct where it goes. Reminds me a lot of that. Now that aside, again, I'm gonna piss off some Metroid fans when I say this. I don't feel like the actual Metroid Prime part of the gameplay has changed up enough to where it looks like it's up to standard, you know?
So if no one told you that this was Metroid Prime 4 and you just saw a random video of the gameplay, you would maybe assume it was from 3? Doesn't look...
Maybe. I mean, like I said, there's enough new stuff going on here in terms of aesthetics and animations that look really clean. But like the actual gameplay of just like running very slowly, shooting, strafing around enemies, that's kind of it.
Isn't that what people want? I mean, if you're a
Prime fan specifically, then yes. And I like that gameplay style too. But we also live in a world where games like fucking Metroid Dread exists, or even Samus Returns, which came before that. They were adding like new stuff to it that really switched it up. They were adding like more action set pieces. The gameplay was faster. You know, like the way that the game even animated, like it was all to keep like the very smooth transitions between actions in mind, you know? So it would be nice to see some of that much more fast-paced, action-oriented Samus incorporated into Prime, but that's not really a knock against it, because I halfway didn't really expect them to do that in the first place. It would just be nice. But I feel like there's certain limitations that are put on with the Prime formula that intentionally holds it back. Like things like the speed booster ability or the space jump ability are like intentionally nerfed because they wouldn't really fit in with this first-person gameplay style, even though it probably could with a little bit of effort. But again, it's clearly like, you know, honestly, this is probably what they just should have showed first. And the first trailer did what it was supposed to do. Yeah. It just reminded you, hey, Metroid Prime 4 it exists. Here it is. More later. Mission accomplished. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but I get it. After we waited so long, that was all you needed to do. Thank you, Nintendo.
I have a question. I'm trying to remember the first trailer. Anyway, I remember seeing a little bit of.
I'll break it down for you.
Okay, it was a little bit of gameplay, but I remember like cinematic. It was very short, right? It wasn't a whole lot. So okay, that's.
And even for like your big like conference ending trailer, it still felt like it could have done more. Like the trailers that they did for Samus Returns and Metroid Dread, and they were great. Had lots of real fast-paced action. Had a lot of like, we're showcasing new stuff. Like it was showing off the Aeon abilities in Samus Returns. It was showing off like the improved melee counter, the new storm missile abilities, all kinds of stuff. But again, that aside, like it did what it was supposed to do. Like it showed off the gunship. It showed Samus's updated character model. It showed the classic Prime gameplay, some recognizable music, a little bit of combat, and then it confirmed, okay, yeah, Psylux is gonna be a big villain in this game. There were things in there that you could speculate about. Are those Metroids or Mocktroids, where they're the clones of Metroids, but they're not as strong as Metroids? Like, there's stuff you can sink your teeth into. I just wish that they had given us more of the stuff that we see here in the first one, and I also wish they would have given like a more definitive release date. Like it just said
2025.
Yeah.
There was no okay.
Which is also kind of concerning because it's like, is the game done? But
yeah,
I can put that worry aside. So far, so good. I'm looking forward to more. And maybe we'll get more in the actual Switch 2 reveal. Because there's no way that this is releasing and it's not tied into the Switch. Like, it's going to be on the Switch 2. It has to be.
Or both.
No, it'll be on both.
The Wild thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So I'm looking at it from like a slightly different angle. Like, as far as what I see here, like from playing Prime, it definitely looks like Prime. There's some new stuff added. That's cool. Not to be a hater at all, because like I said, I like Metroid Prime, Metroid in general, et cetera, but the trailer itself, I feel like my issue with it is the presentation of it. Like, I don't feel like this trailer really would bring in necessarily new people. It honestly, like, for a game, and even for like Metroid Prime hardcore fans, it doesn't feel very hype.
Understandably so.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel. It's almost like not to harp on a totally different topic here, but like recently Marvel announced like, you know, all the actors for the Avengers movie, and the way they did it was like this like 4-hour live stream of showing the back of chairs with names on them. Yeah. The actual announcements are cool. Like the actual gameplay, the actual game itself, the graphics look cool, but the presentation around it, to me, for a game that has been delayed, for a game that has been through all the development issues, for a game that y'all been waiting for so long.
Damn near 6 years at this point.
And also Nintendo, who we've seen when they press that button, they know how to build up hype and make incredible trailers and things like that.
Because it's not like they don't know how to market a Metroid game. Yeah. Again, think about where we were before. Like, Metroid had like this huge hiatus since Metroid Other M, even though y'all hate on it a little bit too hard. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. And then like they released Federation Force, which I will still say was a big mistake. And then it's like, okay, then you announce in your big Nintendo conference that Metroid Prime 4 is coming at some point. And they say that, and then that's it.
Was that the logo reveal?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then another weird move is that they did the same E3, all that, they announced Samus Returns, but they didn't do it in the actual E3 showcase. They did it in like the little treehouse thing after that.
You're right, they are. Right,
which is weird.
Yeah.
But that was like an actual trailer, and it was showing like new stuff and all this really cool. It was an exciting trailer. They really should have put that in the conference. But hey, the game did well enough. We got Metroid Dread after that. Cool. But when it comes to like how they're marketing this, and again, look at how they marketed Metroid Dread. They had like dope trailers, dope editing, lots of action. The music was kicking so much ass. They had like their website was updating like weekly with like updates and shit. So yeah, they really went all out with that one, and
versus
it paid off.
Here, it feels a little dull for a game that is this anticipated and hyped. And honestly, even in because you didn't see it in the direct, like you're watching it now, of course.
Yeah.
So I saw it in the actual direct.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it wasn't. Okay, let me roll on.
Did they do the thing where, because I haven't seen the full direct yet, but did they do the thing where it was like they just had their little transition? It's like, and now here's a special look. Okay.
I don't remember exactly.
Or did they actually do the, okay, here, take a look at this?
No, it wasn't even, I don't remember exactly. That's not my issue. My issue was like, this to me is the most important and biggest game they showed, but it was like kind of the middle end. It wasn't like to me it was weird that this wasn't
like the big
final game.
showstopper.
I think the final game was like Tomodachi Life or something.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like weird to me
that's an interesting choice, but hey, to the Tomodachi fans, no disrespect. I'm not trying to piss you guys off.
It's weird to me that this was not the big showstopper, but also the trailer doesn't feel like it would be, but it's odd that like the placement of it, but even the editing, the trailer, the music, like the presentation overall feels like it should feel grand. Like I don't know, in my mind, like I'm thinking back to just like game trailers, like, you know, I mean, you remember when Halo 3 was coming out?
Yeah.
Like not to compare, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was like hype around it, the way that they were marketing and pushing it, and they were like making it seem like you had to get this game.
Yeah.
This kind of just the presentation feels just kind of just mad. And it should feel here. I was expecting to like walk away like from this with like, you know, blown away.
Yeah.
It looks cool and it doesn't look bad at all. I don't really have anything negative to say. I was just expecting the presentation to feel more hype overall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, a couple things, and I'm not even saying I disagree with you because from a casual perspective, everything that you're saying makes sense. So when it comes to like what Metroid is, you know, a lot of people will disagree. I've probably pissed off some Metroid fans with how much I've said like fast-paced action, take your shot every time I do. But it's like when you look at like the Prime game specifically, it's intentionally made slower because it is more of like a exploration, adventure, you know, taking in the immersion of being in these like alien worlds and stuff like that. So I get why the game looks and feels the way it does, but I feel like there's obviously an appeal on the more 2D side or like an Other M side where you do want a Samus that can run fast and jump high and have crazy beam combos and martial arts moves and stuff like that. It would just be nice to see that sort of integrated into the Prime formula, but we may just not be there yet. When it comes to like how they, you know, like I say, I feel like their marketing for it has been weird because again, I don't even think there's really a website for it yet. I haven't checked, but they've shown the little teaser like 6 years ago. They showed the first trailer, which was just kind of a confirmation, hey, it exists.
The first teaser was the logo.
Yes.
Okay, so the logo.
Yeah. And then
the teaser,
actual teaser trailer.
Recently, last
and
year,
now
right?
an actual trailer. And we still don't even have an actual official, like, full release date yet. So maybe they're playing it this way because they know on the strength of the name of Prime 4 alone, and Prime 1 before Metroid Dread was the best-selling Metroid game of all time.
Okay.
And this has obviously been a whole lot of hype building up for this one in particular. So they're might be banking on it just selling on the strength of the Metroid Prime 4 name alone. But even in the grand scheme of things, the Metroid fan base is relatively small.
Yes.
Compared to like, you know, you get, how much is Super Smash Bros. Sold on the Switch?
I mean, they're like probably 30 million, something.
Right. How much is Mario Kart sold on the Switch?
Like 60, 50 million.
Exactly. Metroid is not pulling these numbers.
Yeah.
But
that's part of my issue here.
But on paper, this should work. Like this should be like all the Halo fans, all the Destiny fans, people that love the sci-fi shooters. You would think on paper this should be that game for them.
Well, and that's what
I feel like it could be marketed a little that way.
Yeah, marketed a little bit different because right now, cause for example, Metroid Prime. Okay, of course it was on the GameCube.
Yeah.
We had the Wii re-releases. Remind me about the Switch. What does the Switch have on it as far as Metroid Prime? Did it get?
They got the Prime remaster.
So that was all of them, or just one of them?
As far as Prime, that was it.
So is this Metroid Prime 1?
Yeah, Metroid Prime 1. They didn't do any re-releases of
for 2 or 3?
No.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. To me, it's like, you know, when you really think about it, it's like, I agree with you that they're banking on like probably the Prime fan base and stuff. But the people who played Prime, I mean, these games came out, I mean, are we almost 15? Maybe? Are we at 20? I don't know if we're at 20 yet, but maybe 15 years ago as far as on GameCube and stuff.
Well,
so it's like it missed a whole generation. I know we got that, you know, the Metroid Prime 1, but we didn't get 2 and 3 and stuff. So it's like, to me, it's like, it's almost like you want to bring in some new people because it's been so long.
Here's another thing that Metroid Dread did very well in its marketing because it understood, like, obviously there's a huge hurdle to jump. Now, for somebody like me, Metroid Dread was a dream come true because it is answering prayers that I've had 20 years ago. It is like the sequel to my then all-time favorite game of all time ever, Metroid Fusion, and now Metroid Dread is my all-time favorite game of all time ever. So, but for people who aren't big sweaty Metroid nerds like myself, you've got to actually market it to them. So like I said, in their website updates, they went out of their way to explain the concept of Metroid. Samus is a bounty hunter. Samus has been on like these missions before. Here's the story of Metroids 1, 2, 3, Fusion, stuff like that. Like they were really introducing people to the Metroid identity up until the release. So I feel like Prime 4 really should be doing the same. And like I said, there's a part of me that's concerned with like all of the development issues that it ran into, having to start over from scratch. And even while the game was being developed, not to read too deeply into it, but every once in a while you would see Retro Studios who's developing it would post like hiring ads for, we're looking for a enemy designer, we're looking for a world designer, we're looking for a marketer, so, stuff like that. So it almost makes you wonder like, how ready is everything to show? And again, it could, I'm probably sound incredibly stupid because so far the game looks beautiful, obviously. But it just makes you wonder, like, is something wrong? Is there going to be something that was cut from the final product? Is there something that's not as polished?
I don't think it's going to be that.
I doubt it. And Nintendo obviously has a really high standard of quality. I don't think they're going to release like some buggy modern AAA game release. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. I think it's going to be. They know at this point with all the issues it has to be polished.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking about like, because to me it's like this. I'm not just thinking about it from like my perspective. I'm thinking about it like from a, getting a Metroid Prime 5 eventually and things like that. Like this game has to be successful, et cetera, et cetera. And to me it's like for example, I was watching my nephew. Never played. He's younger, so he's never played Metroid Prime that came out before he was born.
Yeah.
All he knows is he said the dude from Smash Bros. Now,
I want you to understand how much that hurts to hear.
Okay, what I'm saying is that like that's all he knows.
Yeah.
And then sees this trailer. To me, like this trailer didn't do much to really pull in someone like him, who's never played any of the Metroid games, and that's I'm looking at like okay, like I want Metroid to be successful, and it feels like, I mean, if Nintendo knows that this is one of their lower selling franchises, you would think they would try to.
But the potential is crazy.
No, I agree. They should put their best foot forward because you have the content, you have the story, you have the character.
100%.
But you don't put out a really strong trailer when you had all this time to work on this, and this is like, again, the gameplay looks incredible.
Yes.
It looks like Prime. The graphics look good.
But is it enough to smash through that glass ceiling?
Yeah, exactly. To me, that's my thing is like, okay, like, is it, I don't know. It just feel like it should have been something else to it. It just didn't feel grand. It didn't feel as hype as it really should. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar probably to something like a No Man's Sky, where it's like, it's not banking on like, big action and stuff like that. A lot of it is just kind of like, look at how amazing it is to explore these alien worlds and, look at how grand these big environments are, stuff like that. So I feel like they got some of that in there.
Yeah.
But again, is that enough to push this game in particular?
Yeah. I mean, for example, I'm not a big Zelda fan like that.
Yeah.
But I remember the Breath of the Wild trailer. I don't remember when they showed it, but there was a specific trailer I remember. It was gameplay and some story elements both to it, and that sold me to actually get the game. And I've never played a Zelda game before.
Hey, look, marketing is powerful.
It is.
Do you want to know how I got into the Metroid series? Because way back in the day when Metroid Fusion was coming out, they did a live action video game trailer. If for any of y'all 90s kids, do y'all remember those? Where they would have like full special effects and costumes to market their games? They did like a whole live action segment. It wasn't even that long, but it was so dope. That made me want to play that game.
I feel like I remember that.
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Yeah. But again, it's like, obviously this type of stuff works. So
no, marketing's important.
If anything, Nintendo, you got to push this game like nobody's business. Because if anything, and as much as I love the 2D Metroid side of the franchise, and as proud as I am for Metroid Dread for surpassing Metroid Prime as the best-selling Metroid game, on paper, Prime 4 probably should outsell even that, and it very well might. But I still feel like, why not just throw everything into the mix? Like, push this game hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but look, you've already got my money, Nintendo, so what the hell do I know? Dave, what are your thoughts? Has the game sold you yet, or?
I personally would still get it, but I feel like I'm also a little bit more familiar than the average person who hasn't played a lot of Metroid games because I, friends with you, played games with you, et cetera, and I have played some games, but I'm talking about somebody who's never played.
Bet money we're gonna play this on stream. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
We got to. But people who haven't played, that's my concern there. But I will say, as far as like what things I do like in the trailer, marketing aside, again, I do think it looks like Prime. I think the graphics look great. That psychic ability thing, that looks like it has a lot of potential to open up some new gameplay opportunities and stuff too. So that looks really cool. That suit they showed at the very end, that looks dope. Like you said, enemies, the variety of enemies and stuff like that, that looked cool. So like I said, so far, like I said, the actual gameplay itself, the gameplay trailer looks cool. I don't really have like major issues with the gameplay itself. Wish they would have showed a little bit more, but that's just me being greedy.
And again, they have to at some point before the game comes out. So we'll get.
I'm sure we'll get a Metroid Prime like direct at one point and stuff, like a whole 30-minute. Well, we should get one, right? I mean, we should, right? I mean,
look, I'll make the argument we should have got one by now. But
I mean, low key, because I remember because directs. I never played a Bayonetta game before Bayonetta 2 came on the Wii U, and they had that direct. That sold me, so they better do a direct. Like that was, like you said, marketing works. Like, so that's something.
They did one for Xenoblade Chronicles X back in the day when it was coming out on the Wii U. So
but
it's possible.
What about you as far as like the new stuff in here and everything? Like you mentioned something about like that psychic ability was similar to another game. Did you say something about that earlier?
Because I know, like I said, that one particular one where you could direct shots,
that
felt very Arkham Knight. And of course, there are other games that probably have similar mechanics. And you could even compare it to like the way that the Aeon abilities and things like that in the Metroid Dread and Metroid Samus Returns, how that like switched up the gameplay in a very cool way. So, like I said, that's the type of stuff that I like to see in my Metroid games now. Stuff that like pushes that particular gameplay style forward. So we're getting more of that. Enemy variety, location variety, new alien races and new lore to explore. It's giving me what I'm asking for. So like I said, Nintendo, you had my money already. As much shit as I talk about Metroid Prime Federation Force, because I do hate that game, I still got it. So what do I know? So
question for you too.
Yes.
Just in general though, I know you talked about how much you like Metroid Dread.
Yes.
And I know you're a big fan of the 2D Metroid games, but you also like these. It sounds like you low-key are looking for Nintendo to combine those two together, right? Like you want 2D and 3D, almost like Other M, but better?
But like, I mean, that's basically Returnal, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I think in a certain sense, it would be nice because there's obviously strengths to that. Like,
But is that what you want, though? I'm just wondering. Is that what you want? Because you mentioned earlier about some of the other gameplay elements. Is that something that you want eventually? Or?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because, like, you can even think there's, like, certain first-person shooter games that... Oh, yeah, you got it. There's first-person shooter games that have, like, a run button.
Yeah.
So why can't you incorporate something like that inside the, the first-person Prime games so that you can use the speed booster ability? That would be cool.
Got it.
There's ways to incorporate, I'm sure, more space. There's ways to do it. But I feel like the first-person perspective has kind of nerfed some of like the OP Samus that you'll get at the very end or the middle point of a 2D Metroid game. But that's just me. And again, but I'll say this, like even like how smooth the animations are looking in this, I'm sure we're gonna get some really, really cool cutscenes and dope action set pieces and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm still optimistic. I'm still happy I saw it. I'm probably going to watch it like about 30 more times, and I'll probably be late for work tomorrow. But, but like I said, I feel like I've been reasonable enough in my criticism, even though people in the comments section will disagree. But yeah, so far, liking what I'm seeing, looking forward to seeing more.
another question for you, somewhat off topic to the trailer, but just wondering. We've gotten 2D Metroid games.
Yes.
We've gotten, of course, first-person games. Has there ever been a third-person Metroid game? And
in 3D?
In 3D, yeah, in 3D, like a third-person game. And if not, is that something that you would ever want?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, we got it in Metroid Other M. And then even...
Oh, we did?
Yeah, because that was more like...
You're right.
Yeah, because that controlled more like an actual 3D action game, like a Ninja Gaiden or Bayonetta or something like that. Only it was more shooting-based rather than like, you know, hack and slash or anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, like, Returnal to me is damn near Metroid Other M done right from a gameplay standpoint. Like I said, I think the only thing that really held Other M back, even though the design was to be as simple as possible with just the Wii Remote held sideways, but something like Metroid Dread or Returnal is something that utilizes the entire controller so that you have a ton of different gameplay options and different abilities that you can utilize. Basically just do Metroid Other M, but with more options, and I'm sure some people will say with better storytelling, but it was fine. But yeah, sure. Yeah, just do that. And even, do you remember Metroid Blast on Nintendo Land? Like even that,
wait a second.
Even that gameplay style where it's like, it was third person, but then you had the little thing where you could like aim and it would go like to the over the shoulder, like little aiming mode. Like that was fun as hell. And it had a whole lot of depth, and there was like actual technique to like work around the limitations of the dodge mechanic and stuff like that. The map design was great. So yeah, all of that was done really well. So obviously a third-person Metroid concept has been done before, and it can work out beautifully. But between even just the 2D and the first-person shooter Metroid games, you still got some good options. So I think the only true answer here is more Metroid, please. Just give me more.
No, I really forgot
happy.
about that Nintendo Land game. That game was actually really dope.
No, that was a classic. That was an underrated
Nintendo
classic.
Land in general is like underrated. I know the Wii U, you know, we already know, but like Nintendo Land specifically, was a strong title. Had some really good games on it.
And hey, look, they brought back Xenoblade Chronicles X, so that's one prayer answered. Now it's time to be selfish about something else. Put a Nintendo Land Definitive Edition on the Switch 2, please, Nintendo.
I would actually love that, honestly. They should have did that instead of 1-2 Switch.
Exactly.
Like honestly, like I mean, Nintendo Land was dope. I remember that that game was dope. That running game where you had to like track
chasing
down,
Mario,
chase down. What was that Gumball game? I remember
that was like the little Animal Crossing one.
Yeah, that was dope.
They had the Luigi's Mansion one where one person was the ghost and then the other ones were
listen, Nintendo Land was dope, man. That's underrated.
Yeah.
But we're probably not getting that though, honestly. Like, just because it was, I don't think the games work really with. It's because of the whole Wii U thing.
And the gamepad.
But I do think specifically that Metroid game, that one honestly, like that would have been cool. That could be just a cool, like small, like just, I'm not saying indie game, but it's like a smaller developed game that Nintendo puts out in the eShop or something. I would be cool with like that, but just as a full title with like other levels and things like that.
Definitely.
I would play that for sure. So.
More Metroid, Nintendo. That is your solution. But anyways, I think that'll wrap it up. Metroid Prime 4 trailer, digging it so far. Thank you for watching. We will definitely keep this going. Maybe get some Metroid gameplay on stream. Maybe even play some Nintendo Land on stream.
I'd be down for that. I'd be down.
I got to track down a Wii U. But anyways, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm off to go watch this trailer like 50 more times. Take care.
Peace out.